She swore an oath to protect, to serve, and to uphold the law. As a U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent, Marcia Thompson was the figure people looked to for safety. She was trained to de-escalate danger, not create it. But in the early hours of August 9th, she emptied her magazine into her own husband. When the person sworn to keep the peace becomes the killer, we have to ask, was this a desperate act of a woman who realized the law could no longer protect her? The quiet streets of Loxahatchee were still wrapped in the last hour of darkness when the first sign of tragedy began its slow, silent approach. Just after 1 a.m. on August 9, 2019, the Thompson household looked like any other home in the sleepy Florida community. Porch light low, curtains drawn, children asleep. No one on that street could have imagined that within hours, a man would be dead, a mother would be in handcuffs, and a decade of pain, fear, and silence would spill out into the open for the entire world to see. Inside, 44-year-old U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent Marcia Thompson was wide awake. Exhaustion pulled heavily at her body, but she forced herself to stay alert. Her husband, 52-year-old Terry Thompson, was driving home through the night and insisted she keep him company over the phone. The couple's 2 children, only 6 and 7 years old, were asleep in the next room. Marcia had slept for maybe 2-3 hours. Her shift at the Port of Palm Beach was scheduled for 7 a.m. She needed rest. She needed quiet, but quiet was something she hadn't truly experienced in years. On the other end of the line, Terry's voice was sharp, irritated, increasingly hostile. What started as a conversation quickly devolved into hours of arguing over grievances, suspicions, disappointments, accusations that felt as old as the marriage itself. And every mile Terry drove closer to home, every minute that passed seemed to feed his anger. By the time he reached the house around 2 a.m., he stepped through the door carrying more than fatigue. He carried rage, and that rage began filling the walls of that home the same way it had so many times before. From the living room, his voice traveled through the hallway, raised, cutting, relentless. In the bedroom, Marcia tried to prepare for work. She combed her hair, buttoned her uniform shirt, clipped her cell phone to her belt, fastened the gear she wore every day. She was a federal officer, trained to respond to danger, calm under pressure. Yet in her own home, she felt cornered, powerless, watched. Terry kept shouting, "You're not enough. You're a terrible wife. You're a failure. You'll never be who I want you to be." These weren't new words. They were familiar, almost routine. But that morning, they carried more weight because woven into them were threats. Threats that felt too specific, too rehearsed, too believable. At one point, he told her, "If you come out of that room, I'm going to kill you." And the tone he used, cold, steady, certain, sent a breath of terror through her chest. She had lived with this sort of fear for years. She had learned the patterns, the escalations, the moments when something snapped inside him. There were times she suffered injuries so severe they mimicked car crash trauma. Times when she could barely move. Times when she needed urgent care but wasn't allowed to seek it. Now, in these early hours of August 9th, she couldn't shake the certainty that something irreversible was coming. As she stood in the bedroom getting ready, she heard Terry pacing, heard him muttering, heard the anger simmering under each breath. 15 minutes passed. 15 minutes where she stayed behind that door, praying her children would stay asleep, praying the morning would somehow soften his mood, praying she could walk out of that house alive. But every instinct deep inside her told her that wasn't going to happen. She tightened her belt, adjusted her uniform, fastened the holster around her waist. Her service weapon, something she wore for work every day, rested there, heavy and real. She looked at it, looked at the door, looked at the dark hallway she'd have to walk through. And then a single thought settled over her like a shadow. If I walk out there, this might be the last thing I ever do. Only minutes later, at 6:10 a.m., a call was placed to 911.
I need the police at my house, Marquette Boulevard in Loxahatchee. Please.
What's wrong, ma'am?
I just shot and he was threatening to kill me.
Did you say you just shot him?
Yes, I shot. He was threatening to kill me and I had, please.
Okay, where did you shoot him at?
I shot him in the front and the back. I don't know a lot of times.
Okay, can you go over and check to see if he's breathing? If not, we can start chest compressions right away.
I'm scared to go over. He was threatening to kill me.
I don't want to put you in harm's way.
I'm not afraid because if he's awake, I don't know if he's going to attack me or what.
Does he have a gun or no?
He doesn't know. No.
He doesn't have any weapons?
No.
Okay.
Not on him, no. There's a machete in the room and another gun in the closet in the room.
And where did you put your gun?
It's in my holster. I was getting ready for work.
So you have it on you?
Yeah, it's on me in my holster. On my gun belt.
For this?
Yes. We were... 1 in the morning, he was mad on the phone, and then he came home and he was just really upset at me.
Do you decide to go over to him? I can instruct you on how to do the compressions till we get there, okay? I know you're scared.
I am. He's trying to kill me so many times. I'm afraid if I go over, he'll do something.
Her voice trembled. Her breath shook. She sounded both terrified and strangely composed, the way people do when they've been living in survival mode for far too long. The dispatcher tried to guide her through the panic, asked where the weapon was, whether Terry was breathing, whether she could go to him. Marcia refused. She wasn't being cold. She wasn't being cruel. She was afraid, truly afraid, that if he was still alive, he would come for her. She stayed in the kitchen, keeping distance, keeping sightlines open, keeping herself and her children safe. By the time deputies arrived at the house, the living room was silent. Terry lay face down on the floor near the couch, covered by a blanket that had slipped from him during the argument. A laptop rested near his hand. He was still in his underwear, as if he'd been reclining only moments before. The scene was chilling. 9 spent shell casings lined the wall. Blood pooled beneath Terry's body and soaked into the carpet. Nothing was overturned. Nothing was out of place. Nothing suggested a struggle or a sudden lunge. Deputies searched for a weapon, a knife, a gun, anything that could support her claim that Terry had attacked her. But no weapon was found within arm's reach. Marcia walked out the front door wearing her full Customs and Border Protection uniform. Her face was blank, almost frozen. Not crying, not frantic, just hollow. Deputies secured her weapon, placed her in handcuffs, and sat her in the back of the cruiser. She asked only about her children. Please, protect the babies. Inside the house, EMS confirmed Terry was gone. Investigators began piecing together the angles, the bullet trajectories, the stains on the walls, the pattern on the floor. They found he had been shot twice in the front, then 6 more times in the back as he fell from the couch. Every shot found its target. None missed. To detectives, this didn't look like self-defense. To Marcia, it was the only way she believed she could survive. As she sat in the back of that cruiser, her world split open. Every secret she had carried for years hung in the air. The threats, the violence, the accusations, the manipulation, the terror. Everything she had tried to hide to protect her children, protect her marriage, protect the man she had once loved, now stood exposed under bright morning light as neighbors peeked through blinds and crime scene tape fluttered across the yard. For the first time in a long time, her life, and Terry's death, would be examined not behind closed doors, but in public, by strangers, by jurors, by experts, by a system built to dissect tragedy piece by piece. Some stories unfold from the moment the first shot is fired. This one began years earlier, years before the 911 call. Before the couch, before the morning of August 9th, it began with a young woman who had never dated before, a charming older man who seemed protective at first, a relationship that felt like security, then passion, then control, then something darker, a pattern that tightened slowly, quietly, until leaving no longer felt like an option at all. And what took over next was fear, a fear that grew roots so deep that by the time the sun rose on that August morning, it felt like fate. Even now, the case of Terry and Marcia Thompson divides people, because truth, when twisted through years of trauma, is rarely simple. It is complicated, emotional, messy, and in a courtroom, messy truths can look like lies. But behind the headlines, behind the trial, behind the verdict that shocked the courtroom, lies a human story, one of survival, control, loyalty, violence, and the razor-thin line between defending your life and taking one. And before we go any deeper into this story, before we peel back those years, unravel those patterns, and walk through that courtroom, it's important, right here, to say something directly to the people watching. Please take a moment to support this channel. A small action like subscribing or liking genuinely helps these stories reach more people. It keeps stories like this alive, and it allows narratives like Marcia's to be told with the depth and compassion they deserve. Now, let's go back to the beginning. Before the uniforms, before the fear, before that final morning, let's go back to when Marcia met Terry and how a relationship that seemed safe eventually turned into the kind of danger no one could have predicted. What began as affection between a young woman and an older, confident man soon shaped itself into something far more complicated.
My first boyfriend, he was a lot more confident than me. He had a lot of opposite traits than me that he helped sometimes would show me stuff, teach me things. I don't yell back at him. He would yell for extended periods of time, accusing me of not dressing feminine enough for him, having my hair the way he likes it, how I know how he likes it.
Would he call you names?
Oh yeah.
What kind of names would he call you?
He would call me a whore, slut, bitch, cunt, a lot of bad names.
And this is what he's screaming at you during these arguments?
Yeah. They usually ask me at the doctor, like, were you in a car accident? Like, what trauma happened to you?
Did you ever tell them what was happening to you?
No.
Neck problems?
Back problems, a neck problem.
Okay. Chronic pain?
Yes.
Did you have to be treated, or did you ever take care of this?
They usually gave me injections to help with the pain. And then in 2020, because he didn't want me going to the doctor, the only time I was able to go to urgent care was when I could barely move, so I wouldn't be able to work if I didn't do something. And I was able to get the surgery in 2020.
In 2020, what surgery were you able to get?
It's ACDF to fuse the herniated disc in the neck.
Has that helped with your pain?
It has. He started yelling at me about I wasn't a good mother, I wasn't a good wife. What am I even doing with him? I can't please him. And I apologized to him that I'll try to do better. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I forget things and do these things. And I started to try to massage his feet because that usually calmed him down.
At this point, did you want to go to sleep?
I was very tired. I only had slept maybe 2-3 hours that night.
He threatened the children's lives. There was a moment that haunted her more than others. A moment when he looked at their young son and said coldly, "I'll cut his head off." That threat burrowed deep inside her. After that day, she often picked the children up from school and brought them into work, keeping them close where she could see them, where they were safe.
Did you feel safe to leave them?
No.
Did you feel safe that if you left, that they would be okay?
No.
Why not?
He already had threatened to kill Micah, my son. He said he was going to cut his head off. And now he was saying these things about how you'd think I was lying before. I'm going to prove to you I wasn't.
As he's telling you that he's going to kill you and that he's serious this time, what's his demeanor? Like when you're looking at him, is it seeming like just an empty threat? What's your impression?
That he's going to kill me tonight.
How sure were you?
I was 100% sure I was going to die.
And what?
I was afraid that they were going to die too.
Did you think he would kill you if you tried to leave?
Yes. He had told me that he would kill me if I tried to leave.
Did you think he would kill you if you stayed there with him?
Yes.
Did you think he would kill you even if you called the police?
Yes.
Did you believe that Terry Thompson would kill you if you didn't defend yourself?
Yes.
Closing arguments came like a final storm.
This verbal argument that at some point this defendant goes into her bedroom to get ready for work, and she estimates that took about 15 minutes for her to get ready for work. She put on her uniform, she put on her hair up, she put in her earrings, and then she tells Detective Gelfand that the next thing she remembers is hearing shots. It was a tumultuous relationship. There are allegations of domestic violence. She talks about specific instances in the past of violence. Doesn't really paint Mr. Thompson in the best light. But what you're going to hear from that statement is that on that night, the most egregious thing that Terry Thompson used were his words. He made threats, but he did absolutely nothing in furtherance of those threats.
For 15 minutes, Marcia Thompson was in her room, losing her mind over what does she do. He's telling me he's going to kill me. If I go to work, he's going to kill me. If I come out of the room, he's going to kill me. If I get out somehow, he's going to hurt my children. He's threatened to kill my son before. And he's yelling, I'm going to kill you. If you come out of that room, I'm going to kill you. You know what? Go to work. We don't need you here. But if you come out of that room, I'm going to kill you. That's not time to relax. That's not time to gather your thoughts.
The state insisted she had a choice. She had time. She had the ability to leave the room, leave the house, call for help. They said the threat was verbal, not physical, and that self-defense requires imminence. The defense insisted that imminence looks different when you've lived in violence for years. That panic shapes perception. That trauma teaches you when danger is real, before anyone else sees it. That staying felt deadly. Leaving felt deadly. And calling for help felt pointless when she believed he would kill her before deputies arrived. When the jury left the courtroom to deliberate, Marcia sat alone at the defense table, staring down at her hands. Her children, who had been living separately from her for nearly 5 years, waited at home, too young to fully understand what a verdict meant. The courtroom was silent when the jurors returned. When the foreperson stood, Marcia didn't look up. She kept her eyes fixed on the table in front of her, breathing slow, steady, controlled. And then came the words that changed everything.
Marcia Thompson, verdict, not guilty. Deputy, stop it! Stop it!
Not guilty. In an instant, the tension broke. Marcia let out a cry. Not of victory, but of release. Like a pressure that had been sitting on her chest for years had finally cracked open. Deputies rushed toward her, but not to restrain her, to steady her as her legs gave way beneath her. 5 years after she had been arrested, 5 years after she had been placed under house arrest, 5 years after losing her husband and nearly losing her freedom, she walked out of that courtroom a free woman. Her children ran into her arms hours later. The family, fractured by fear, reunited in a single moment. But freedom doesn't erase trauma. Freedom doesn't erase memory. Freedom doesn't erase the weight of everything she endured. Marcia would later say the adjustment was difficult. Sleeping through the night felt foreign, silence felt suspicious, and safety felt like something she had to relearn instead of something she could trust. Therapy became a new routine for all of them. Healing became a new language, and rebuilding became the quiet, slow work of survival after survival. And in the end, what remains is not just the tragedy of Terry's death, nor the complexity of Marcia's actions, nor the years of courtroom battles. What remains is a family that endured something most people will never understand and survived it. If you've watched all the way to this moment, if you've felt something through this story, if you believe in keeping these narratives alive with depth, compassion, and truth, please take a moment to support this channel. A simple subscribe, a like, even a comment. They might seem small, but they genuinely help this work continue. This channel needs your support to keep growing, to keep improving, and to keep telling these stories in a way that honors the people behind them. Please support this channel. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. It means more than you know.